No matter where in the world you are, you have to always deal with crime in business. Hello, my name is Greg Story. I'm the president of Dale Carnegie Training here in Japan and the best-selling author of Japan Sales Mastery. We're coming in today from the High Performance Center here in Akasaka in Minato-ku, the business center of Tokyo. Well, crime is obviously something that's going to be a feature of any society, and there's different elements of crime. There's personal crime, being robbed. There is fraud from someone outside the company or inside the company, and Japan is no different. Now, if you think about organized crime in Japan, Yakuza, they are probably diminished compared to what they were 20 years ago, but they're still a factor. Now, for a foreign corporation or a gaishke multinational type of company or anything with foreigners attached to it, the chances of having a Yakuza type of extortion problem, which is the usual thing that happens, probably almost never going to happen. There's a problem of language and you're just too much trouble. There's plenty of Japanese they can exploit without having to worry about picking on you. But they do it, and you do find in the news that there are cases where companies' presidents are murdered because they wouldn't give in to the extortion claim. The law changed a few years ago so that the crime bosses are being held for what's done by their underlings. And so that's really suppressed a lot of crime here. But they make plenty of money out of prostitution and drugs and other things as well. They do extortion as well amongst the Japanese community. As a foreigner here, the chances of that happening are pretty slight. You going out to a club or a bar or something at night, maybe in Roppongi or in Kabukicho in Shinjuku, different story. You go out, you get the bill. It's about the same size of the GNP of a mid-sized African country. It's huge. And you don't want to pay it? Well, good luck. Out come the Yakuza, because I'll be running that bar, and you will pay. So your personal safety, don't do stupid things. Don't go to places you shouldn't be. You won't have any problem with the Yakuza. If something does happen and you get into trouble with the Yakuza in the street, you go straight to the nearest police korban, because that'll be the safest place for you. And you do not want to muck around with these people. They're thugs, they're punks, and they're killers. And they have no hesitation in killing each other. And they might make an exception to their rule and take something out on you too. But generally speaking, you'd have to really work hard to get yourself into that type of trouble. It's usually never going to happen. Fraud, on the other hand, is a different question. Now, there's no shortage of cases here of Japanese people being taken for Ponzi schemes. And they're pretty bad Ponzi schemes, like they take in the money and then they disappear with the money. They don't even try and work it up over a period of time. They scam the money and then they disappear. So that's happening all the time. Also, my wife being Japanese, she's got a big circle of friends and family, and you do hear about families losing their fortune because some outside party scammed them. They were fraudsters, somehow they got control of the company, they got control of the money, and they bankrupted that family. It does happen, and Japanese people know this amongst themselves. So basic rule, I think, for anything like this. If the deal sounds too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. Now, when you're dealing with Japanese in business, it's very hard to determine which are the honest ones, which are the dishonest ones. Generally, I think they're all mainly honest ones, but there may be an occasion where you do come across people who are fraudsters and who are dishonest. Just keep your wits about you, caveat emptor. If it looks too good to be true, it probably is. Be very, very careful if that's the case. There's no such thing as a free lunch in business. It's all hard work, and hard work. No shortcuts, really. So that type of fraud, it's there, but it may apply to you, but it'd be, again, because of the language and cultural barriers, it's going to be pretty hard for that to happen. Most Japanese get sucked up into fraud because of relationships and because they're too trusting, basically. They're, in a sense, the country's so honest and everyone's so naive in some senses, they are a target for fraudsters. The other part of fraud is inside your own company. Now, there's, again, no shortage of media coverage of reports of employees stealing from the company. There's a case the other day of a guy, he was in a bank, he was a teller, and he was stealing cash. He was taking the money. He was making an exchange and he was taking some for himself. And then, this happens in banking, it happens in companies. Some people are fabricating expense reports to get the cash. A lot of it is driven by gambling. People get into very bad gambling debts and they become desperate and then they start doing crazy things. Or, middle-aged guys get a girlfriend and then, they want to start being the big guy, big shot with her, so they start stealing from the company to finance this luxurious lifestyle with her. It happens. It happens everywhere. It happens here too. So with the staff, I mean, it is a bit of a problem in the sense of you're also likely to become very trusting in Japan because people are so honest. So you just never imagine someone would be stealing from your company. I'm not saying the chances of that are very high. I'd say they're quite low, actually, but have some mechanisms, have some check mechanisms to make sure that that's not happening, because by the time you find out, the damage could be quite large. Chances of that, I say, though, are low. So generally speaking, Japan's a very, very safe place. Very, very safe place. And people are very, very honest. It's a great place to do business. But there are Yakuza, organised crime members. There are Ponzi schemes here. There are fraudsters who rip people off. There is crime, what we call white-collar crime, within companies where people are stealing from you. So generally speaking, it's nothing compared to most other places, but it's not perfect. So just keep that in mind, and you probably will never have a problem in Japan. But if you do, hey, you were warned, so be careful.